Saint Padre Pio, who lived in our times, he died only recently in 1968, and so he is very much loved by young people. When the Holy Father went for the last youth congress held in Germany, and the German Pope, he went for the first time there. 2 million young people from all over the world gathered there. And during the session, the greatest name that was always resonated in the young audience was St. Francis, Mother Teresa, Padre Pio. And recently, last Youth Congress held in Sydney, when the Holy Father was going, the young people gathered there, gave a gift. And what was that gift? It's a beautiful photograph, nicely framed, of Padre Pio. A smiling Padre Pio like this. That was the photo that the young people of the world gave to the Holy Father as a parting gift. And so we know that St. Francis and Padre Pio are very much liked by young people of the world. Why? Because they were so wonderful. They really fell in love with God, and not only God, the whole creation and the people. When you think of Padre Pio, you always think of an extraordinary person, a man who did plenty of miracles. But that's only one side of it. But his feet were planted on this earth. In spite of the fact that he was not keeping good health, throughout his stay in Foggia, he looked after the people who suffered. And he built a beautiful hospital, 5-story building, which is one of the finest hospitals in the whole of Italy. And there he made a condition when he gave that to the Holy Father, saying that every person who comes here, the poorest person who won't be able to pay, even he has to be taken care of and given the same kind of treatment you give to a person who gives the full fare of the hospital. And so you find Padre Pio was a man who was really very much fond of the poor people, the suffering, the poor. Padre Pio, when he was born on the 25th of May in 1877, he was given the name Francesco. In Italian means Little Francis. And he was specially taken care of by God. Special gift. So much so, at the age of 15, he went to join the Capuchins. And he joined, and very often he was a sick person. But in spite of that, he was a great apostle of the confessional. And he had a great burning love for the Eucharistic Lord. And so his Mass was always a sermon. People very often say, whenever Padre Pio said the Mass, he never preached. His whole Mass was a sermon. Very often, when he said the Mass alone, his gloves were removed from his hands. He was under pain of obedience. He could not show this to the people. But only always, whenever he prayed, he asked the Lord to remove that outer sign, namely stigmata. But Jesus never gave that. He suffered with him intensely every day of his life. And for the Mass, the gloves was removed. And it is said at every Mass, whenever he said the Mass, the stockings which he was wearing, it was dripping with blood, and also his hands. And so it seems a couple of bishops went to visit, and they asked Padre Pio, is it pain? And Padre Pio, always a very jovial man, he laughed and said, what? Jesus gave me that for decoration. It pains intensely. And so Padre Pio was a wonderful person. And we should remember not to give our great belief to the miracles that he did. But then he was always a person who loved Jesus intensely. And so he joined with him in his suffering. Bishop Putin used to say that in the world today, the greatest talent is not suffering, but the wasted suffering. The suffering which is not merited, because we don't join with the suffering of Jesus, and therefore that suffering becomes fruitless. And so then Padre Pio teaches this great lesson, that he was a man who suffered a lot, but he suffered for Jesus. And at the 50th year of his getting the stigmata, in 1918, he was adoring the Lord after his private mass in the church. Nobody was there. When the friars came, he was found sprawled on the ground. And he was taken to his room. They found for the first time like 5 wounds of the Lord. And he died exactly 50 years after that, namely in 1968. As a golden jubilee of the receiving of the stigmata, he died exactly 50 years after that. And throughout his life, Saint Padre Pio asked Jesus to remove that outer sign, namely stigmata, but at the hour of death, Jesus heard that. On that day when he died, all of a sudden, all the 5 wounds of the Lord disappeared. And he had a glorious funeral. 1 lakh of people in that small village assembled. There were few bishops, there were few priests, there were few religious, and our general, who was at that time Father Railwarsky, who is a Swiss captain. So he and the general of the order, together with the 2 cardinals, officiated at the funeral ceremony. And then soon his corpse was taken. On the 1983, 20th of March, the diocesan process opened. And within 7 years it finished. So they gave more than 1,000 pages, it seems, that Padre Pio was interviewed, or the letters that he got filled 1,000 pages. And after that, the 1990, the diocesan process was closed, and on the 2nd of May, 1999, Pope John Paul II declared him as a blessed. And again, on the 16th of June, 2002, John Paul declared him a saint of the Catholic Church. We have, as he did, we also try to be more prayerful people, because most of the time he spent hours in prayer. And then he had a tremendous devotion to the Holy Eucharist and a great devotion to Blessed Mother. So today, let us all promise and ask the intercession of Padre Pio, that we also may be like him in a little way, try to follow him in our own life, be more prayerful, more generous to others, more charitable among us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.